Advantage and disadvantage. They're simple on paper. In fact, and mechanically, it's only a +5 advantage. But in play, it's game-changing. Now, whether you're looking for an edge as a dungeon master when crafting clever challenges, or mechanics that can shape every roll of the dice, but the question is, why does this mechanic feel so satisfying? And how can you use it tactically when you do use it? That's what we're going to cover today. We're going to see how to use advantage and disadvantage both strategically, what the math is behind it, and why it's one of the most rewarding mechanics that D&D 5e actually came out with, and why some people don't like it very much. Let's get right on into it. The ideal behind advantage is that you're rolling 2 d20s. You're taking the higher of that for advantage, the lower for disadvantage. A very simple mechanic that's very easy to give out as a dungeon master. It applies on all sorts of conditions, class features, spells, even tactics can grant both disadvantage and advantage. The best part about this, though, is it doesn't stack. Multiple sources of advantage only simply give you advantage. So that's one of the things with traditional, +5 for this, +4 for this. This is a very big just here. You have advantage on that roll. From a mechanic standpoint, that's what makes this mechanic so brilliant. It's simple. It's easy to use. Something you don't have to fret with doing, and as a dungeon master, simply tells your player, you get to roll 2 dice this time. And we all love rolling dice. Now, there's some psychology behind why advantage and disadvantage feels so satisfying most of the time. There's more control. There's more drama. Rolling 2 dice heightens the tension and the excitement that you're having on your table. It's also tactical. There's feedback. It's more engaging than just a flat modifier. You get to pick up an extra d20 and roll it. And there's a perceived fairness that happens when you're both rolling advantage and disadvantage. Missing twice feels earned. Hitting on a second roll feels like a comeback. When you succeed at disadvantage, man, does that feel good. And when you fail at advantage, man, it must be meant to be. There's something about rolling those 2 dice that seems to make you feel, as a player, you have more control. Whether that be true or not, doesn't really matter. How your table feels makes the biggest difference. But let's take a second and talk about the math behind advantage and disadvantage, and kind of why it's so powerful and yet an effective tool. When you have advantage, you're basically, on average, giving a +5 to your roll. At a DC 15, your success rate jumps from a 30% to nearly a 51% before even adding modifiers. At disadvantage, the same thing happens. It's -5 on your current roll. This cuts the success chance in nearly half. If you visualize this on a chart, it basically just takes your bell curve and slides it. But that's the other thing. You're rolling 2 dice. So the variety of just getting a +5 isn't necessarily the reality. If you rolled 1 dice and got a 5, that would move you to a 10. But the opportunity is that you can roll 1 die and actually also roll a 20, increasing the chance of both critical failures and critical successes. So while yes, mechanically it is only a +5, the results are more wild. Now, as a player, advantage can be used tactically, because there's class abilities like Reckless Attack from the Barbarian, Pack Tactics for creatures, and knocking your creature prone, giving enemies and players both advantage on melee attacks. Spells like Fairy Fire, Guiding Bolt, Help, those are going to allow you to control when you have advantage and have disadvantage. Giving a player advantage a lot of times can give them a huge swing because they can use their more damaging abilities knowing they're going to get to roll those 2 dice, as well as doubling their chance of critting. If I roll 1 dice, I only have 1 chance to roll a 20, a 5% chance actually, but if I'm rolling 2 dice, I increase that. So you have to keep in mind that tactical uses of advantage should be used at the table. Your players should be pushing for advantage, and as a game master, you should be pushing them into that. Don't always negate their ability to get advantage as players. Reward them to get advantage, or even give them opportunities to have advantage when they may not otherwise have it. Advantage is a powerful tool to make the players feel powerful, especially if they're up against a difficult encounter or the dice have been against them for that table. So remember, this can be tactically used for players, figure out how to get advantage, but also for dungeon masters that want to make their players feel better during a game or when things are not going their way. So let's talk a second about the tactical uses as a dungeon master to use advantage and disadvantage. The first thing we have to talk about is challenge the party. Use darkness, invisibility, flanking on the enemies. Give enemies advantage when there are fewer of them. Or if the players have high EC, how would they get advantage? Also, set the scene. When you're making the environmental hazards there that are imposing disadvantage, make sure it feels that way. Just don't be like, oh, you have disadvantage. Let them know the darkness is so thick that you can barely see beyond it. The flashing of the people is like shimmers in the mist. Make sure that they understand the difficulty they're going into. Don't just randomly throw a disadvantage at them. And reward strategy. Give them advantage on clever ideas by tossing a torch into the night, lights up the bad guys, casting light around them, and now they're in darkness. Allow them to trade that strategy or to reward that strategy and change the environment, change the circumstance that you as a dungeon master gave them. If they can combat your disadvantage and turn it into advantage for themselves, let them. That is one of the most rewarding things you can have as both a player and as a dungeon master. The looks on my player's face when they thwart the dungeon master, even though we don't play a versus game. Well, most of the time. Now, there's some caps when it comes to disadvantage and advantage. Part of it is the fact that it's fixed. Advantage is powerful, but it's capped because it doesn't stack. There's a couple of feats, maybe one in particular, that can give you double advantage, meaning rolling 3 dice. Also, if someone uses luck and covers their eyes, they get triple advantage because they're rolling disadvantage, but then they get to roll a luck die, meaning they get to pick the highest of those 3. There's lots of ways that the rules can be bent, and I encourage that. I encourage my players to utilize those rules creatively. But some tables can even use additional rerolls or inspiration stacking, meaning triple advantage or double advantage when the situation really applies for it. It's something to consider. Now, when you layer this with inspiration is a currency for tactical advantage. Use it to reward creativity, allowing the characters to roll 2 dice and possibly re-roll the lowest, depending on the situation. Stacking different mechanics with advantage can be very rewarding, but at the same time can be very powerful and very dangerous as both dungeon masters and players. So keep that in mind. So my final tips when it comes to both advantage and disadvantage is this. For the players, always look for ways to earn advantage. It's like a +5 in your pocket. Figure out how to pull it out as often as you possibly can and roll with advantage. There's lots of ways you can do it. Take a look at the rules, ask your dungeon master, ask your fellow players, go on Reddit. Don't go on Reddit. That's a bad place to be. But remember, there's lots of spells, there's lots of abilities, and there's lots of tactics that your dungeon master may award for basically running advantage. Now, as dungeon masters, reward creativity with advantage. If it makes the game more fun, more cinematic, then why not have it in there? And as opposed to just giving flat modifiers, advantage gives wild swings that can be absolutely amazing. When that natural 1 turns into a natural 20 because someone rolled 2 dice, everyone at the table is shouting. And both players and DMs should think beyond the mechanics. Make advantage the reward for creative storytelling, both from a player standpoint and from a dungeon master standpoint. So, I do have a question for you. What's your favorite use of advantage or disadvantage, or favorite outcome that's been in one of your stories? Have you ever turned the tide of a battle with a single lucky roll because it was advantage? Would you have failed if it would have been standard? Drop your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more D&D as we do some deep dives into mechanics and explore these things. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.